Oh,
Hello and welcome to the Season 10 1984 cast assessment for 1984 Fatal Attraction. This is the 10th season of 1984. We are about to celebrate the 3-year anniversary of this little game that I created 3 years ago. It's crazy. I can't believe that we have made it this far, have this many seasons, but here we are. So it is now time to assess the cast preseason. I've got my prod team here, or most of it at least. We've got Caleb, who was our runner-up last season. We've got Tyler, who was our All-Stars winner. And we have Zach, who won season 7. Hopefully Josh will be joining us in a little bit. He was our 4th placer last season. So we have a brand new prod team. We have a brand new cast. We are ready to go. This is a very exciting time. I'm very excited about the season. So we have a lot to talk about. So we will get started. So the first person we are assessing tonight is Braden.
Ooh. Okay. Braden does go by all pronouns, right? Before I start. Okay. So Braden. Oh my god, my voice. What the hell? All right. So I interviewed Braden. And right from the start, Braden to me is a star. I think Braden's gonna come in here. I'm just gonna use them, they pronouns. They're gonna I think come into this house and stir up shit. They're not gonna be afraid to say what's on their mind. And I think they're going to be a big presence in the house. And I think that could be either a really good thing or that could be a really bad thing. I think with this cast, there is no in between. So if the big personalities go after each other, I could see them being a huge target and being one of the first 3 boots. However, if the big personalities do stick together, then I think Braden has a fighting chance. And I think they're definitely going to be, regardless, a very memorable personality and a very fun person to host. So I'm very excited to see how Braden will do.
Yeah, I completely agree with Caleb. I think that this season, there's 2 different ways this season could go. I think either the big threats all go right after each other, take each other out, and we have all these under the radar people, or the big threats work together and take out all the under the radar people. So I'm very interested to see how that'll go. As far as Braden goes, in my prediction, I put Braden as pre-jury just because I think that they're the type of person that could flame out really fast. Though I've been kind of watching Tri-State a little bit, which is another game that they are currently in, and they've done pretty good so far. Same with, I think, the other game they're in, Popular or something, whatever it is. They've made it pretty far in both of those games. So I don't know how much of this cast will know them. I think that will have somewhat of an effect. But Braden seems like a very sociable person that a lot of people will get along with. So I wouldn't be too shocked if they make it to the jury phase. However, I think it'll depend on if they win competitions and all that stuff. If they win too many competitions early on, I think that somebody will take the opportunity to get them out early. That's my prediction. However, I wouldn't be shocked to see Braden go far.
I think I agree. Braden's going to be a big personality. I think you can just tell that. But I don't know. I have such mixed emotions. I feel like Braden could go really far or Braden could do horrible. Because I'm looking at the big personalities in the cast, and I think Braden's going to be a big personality, but he's not going to be the biggest. So I think he could be someone that's just taken out for being a big personality, but not being the biggest personality, because he's not going to be a shield or anything. He's just going to be a big personality in the game. But I think if he aligns with the right people, I think if Braden aligns with the big personalities, he's going to do well. If he aligns with the non-big personalities, he's going to do really bad. So I think that's kind of how I see it, but maybe I'm wrong.
I loved his interview. He's just such a funny person and such a fun person to just see interact with others. And I'm gonna enjoy watching him this season for sure. I think that I mean, like you all said, it could either go one of two ways. He could be seen as a huge social threat at the start, or he could be a social threat that actually makes it through. Because typically that's how it goes with social threats. Either you're a social threat that is able to work with everyone and make it far, or you're a social threat that everyone notices. Hey, they're a social threat. They gotta go. I would hate to see him go pre-jury, but I would probably, if I had to bet money one way or the other, I'd probably say pre-jury, unfortunately. But I sure hope that's not the case because he's one of the top people that I wanted here. After hearing his interview and everything, but I think he's going to bring a lot to the game, and I'm excited.
Mhm.
Okay. Next up, we have Casey.
Okay. I think Casey is someone in the cast that is very different for the rest of the cast. He's not exactly what you would typically expect of a 1984 cast member, if that makes sense. And that's a weird way to word that. He's a very just like an ordinary guy. I'm trying to how to describe him. I I think his personality is going to, unfortunately, I think he's going to have trouble clicking with a lot of this cast. And but I think if he can somehow manage to like talk to certain people and get in good graces of certain people's people like Cory or Drew, very big personalities. I think he could use them as a shield, and I think he could actually be one of those people that goes into the top 4 or 5. So I really will say this: I think he's either one of the first 3 boots, or I think he will be in the final 4. There's no in between with him. So yeah, that was a weird way to word him, but yeah.
Yeah. So Casey's definitely a unique archetype that we don't see very often in 1984. So I'm very excited to see him play. He talked a big game in his interview, so I'm hopeful that that's what we'll get to see. If I had to make a guess, I do think, as Caleb said, it's going to be a little harder for him to connect with some of these people than others will have. So I do have him as one of my first boot picks, but I think if he's able to make it past one of the first, I think if he's able to make it past the first couple of weeks, I think he's in it for a while. I kind of view him as somebody that might get dragged along. I really don't want that to happen for him. I think that he's capable of playing a big game. He talks a big game. So I really hope that he's able to show us that rather than be more of a goat. So I don't know. I don't know. Watching his video and watching his interview and stuff, it seems, just based on like what we've seen in past seasons, he just seems kind of like a person that would think he did more than he did. But I don't know. I'm very interested to see how Casey does. So I don't know. He's definitely a unique person compared to the applicants and players we normally get. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I know Zach is not happy with what I just said. It's okay.
I think that Casey is going to be I think it's going to be an early jury boot. I don't know why. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just my gut instinct. That's what he's going to be. I think he's going to be somebody that I don't necessarily think he's going to have trouble connecting with this cast. I think there are quite a few people here who I could see him vibing with. It's just a matter of if those people are the same people that are going to run the game. And honestly, like normally I feel like coming into a season, I can typically tell who's going to, have the early game or maybe get taken out later, who's going to, whatever. I literally don't know who's going to run this game at all.
Right.
So if he connects with the right people, I could see him going really far. I don't think he's going to be the star of the show. So if his allies are all bigger targets than him and then he can maybe get them out toward the end game, I think he will do really well. But I think he's going to have to play his cards right. And again, I've never seen him play before, so I don't really know what his strategy is, what he likes to do, all that jazz. But I definitely, like, if he plays his cards right, I could see him doing well. He seems like a more of a chill person that people would be like, oh, I'm fine with him staying around. But I do agree the early rounds for him may be the hardest rounds. But once the first 2-3 boots are gone, I could see him going far if he plays his cards right.
He's the winner. I mean, no, I mean, in all seriousness, like I was just drawn to his personality after his interview, and if we had to like lock people in the cast, like I was gonna lock him. Like I just really liked his archetype and personality because we haven't seen someone like that here that I can think of in all our 9 seasons. So I was really excited to see him play. I think that I do agree. I think that at the start it might be a little hard for him because some of these people do know each other, some of them, and or at least they've seen each other around. I have no clue if these people have seen him before. I've never seen him before, and I could see him as an easy person to put up. But I just have faith. My gut is telling me that he's gonna win like a week 2 or 3 HOH or something. And it's gonna propel him forward into the game. And I think that if he can get
I'm here for it.
Weeks, I think I genuinely think that if something is going to take him down in the game, I think that it's going to be that he's someone that he's just laid back and likable, and nobody's going to want to target him because either they'll see it as maybe even a waste or just as something like, well, he's not coming for me, or he's not, that big of a personality, because there's so many big personalities. I don't think people are going to want to go for him, but I think it might get to a point, early jury, where people start to realize that kind of everyone feels that way with him, and that, he's a great, likable guy, but it doesn't help them if everyone likes him. So that, I think, could potentially be his downfall.
Right. I think, like, with this season, as Tyler said, like, there's been many casts that I could say, okay, this is going to be the jury, this is the pre-jury, maybe like 2 or 3 people back and forth. This season, I feel like it's so hard to pick who the jury is going to be and who the pre-jury is going to be. Just like the type of players we have this season is just like a completely different type of group that we've ever had, or than what we've had before. And I feel like a lot of the early HOHs are really going to define how the season goes. And based on what the HOHs are, it's going to be very interesting. So, okay. We've been talking about these big characters, so let's move on to Cory Morgan.
Yes, what a legend. Okay. I loved Cory's interview. So I think Cory will be definitely something. but no. I think Cory, there's gonna be 2 ways for him in this game. Number one, he'll be took out first because he has a big ego. Or I think he will be a big shield for a lot of people. And I don't think he's afraid to win competitions. He's not afraid to make moves. He's not afraid to make alliances. This isn't his first rodeo. He don't give a shit. He's here to win. So I think he will do whatever it takes. If I had to give Cory a placement, I'm going to give him the OTT placement of 7th. I think he will basically hide in plain sight most of the season, and then eventually be took out in one of our either doubles or a twisty.
We're not doing a double, but
oh wait, yeah, the instant. Oh, I could see him getting out in the instant.
Yeah,
take him back.
You can say whatever on the
okay. Okay. I'm gonna say he's gonna get 10th. He's getting 10th place. He's took out the instant. I'm calling it now. Okay.
I do think that Cory is a very likely boot at the instant. I think there's one other person that I'm kind of viewing more so as the instant boot, which I'll get to them in a few. But I feel like Cory, with this cast, I do think Cory could be an early boot because I feel like this cast might be rubbed the wrong way by him really fast. However, if they are not, I think Cory's either going to get 2nd or 3rd, because I think somebody will either take him to the end because he's going to be easily beaten, or he's going to be taken out right at the end, kind of like an instinct where somebody like a final 2 drags him to 3 so that they can win the final HOH and go together. If I had to predict, though, I'd lean more towards Cory being pre-jury this season. I feel like he's another person that could flame out, kind of like Dylan Andrews did in season 8. where Cory might get power week 1 or 2, do something stupid with it, and end up getting backdoored or whatever. Or possibly, let me look at who, I forget who his fatal attraction is. I feel like his fatal attraction could also be an early boot, and that could screw Cory over as well. So yeah, I'm so excited that we have Cory though. I know the VL was like, oh, but I am so excited to see Cory play. He's probably the biggest name we've had in the series, so I'm really excited.
So I love Cory. Cory's I think he's an underrated hero. People don't see it, but I think so. Cory's strategy after just playing with him, because I just saw it firsthand in his last game. Cory is somebody that likes to align himself with all the social. Cory isn't super social himself. Like, he is social in the sense that he he will talk to people or whatever, but he's not somebody that you just talk to Cory and you instantly click. That doesn't happen with Cory. So he usually aligns himself with the more social people, and he lets them do the damage for him, which he's kind of the big shield to these social people. So I could see him working with like a Drew, like a Sarah, like a like maybe a Mac.
David. Or Mac.
Do you think that Drew and Cory will work together?
I think Drew and Cory will work together.
I also think because of the fatal attraction, I think they will, but I don't know if naturally they would or not. I'm not sure.
I think they would. I don't know if Drew would vibe as much with Cory as Cory would with Drew, but I think if they work together, I think they will be very strong in this game. But I do agree. I think Cory could be a very early boot, or he could go really far. And that's after knowing Cory, that's how Cory places in these games. He either grabs the game, he's in a majority, he's in a good spot, or people are just sick of him and get rid of him early. There's kind of no in between. I do agree. I've witnessed Cory having a few mental breakdowns in the last game I played with him. And he doesn't have like a me or a Sam to calm him down and tell him, you can't do this, you can't do this. Like, I would tell him, Cory, shut up. You need to get your head together, like get your head in the game. And I don't think he's going to have someone like that. So he needs to, if he keeps himself collected, I can see him doing well. But I don't have high hopes that he will keep himself collected, but I really hope he does well.
I don't want to take Zach's time, but I'm going to say something really quick. I feel like it'll be an interesting dynamic with Braden. If Braden and Cory, I feel like they are either going to click really well or they're going to butt heads really fast. So like that'll be an interesting dynamic. I just kind of like realized that because they're both like really old school, like they've been around for a while. So I don't know. I could see that being
I think Braden and Cory I think they're going to go after each other. I don't think they're going to click at all.
Oh, me? Okay. Cory is the Stars king, and the stars are going to align here for him. He is, I think the twist is either going to be great for him or horrible for him. He has a great person who would be protecting him and watching out for his back, Drew, for his own interest. Because if he goes, then Drew's fucked. But then he's also attached to Caleb, and I think that Caleb has a strong possibility of going early, unfortunately, and that could screw over Cory. So I think that he's kind of wedged right between two really interesting people in the chain. And I honestly think, as much as I hate to say it, I think that's going to be what defines his game. And I hate to think that a twist is entirely what's going to define someone's game. But I think that, I think that, like I said, either it's going to help him or hurt him. And I'd love to see, what happens. And I hope that it doesn't screw him over, because I would hate to see someone get totally 100% screwed over by, a twist with like that. especially as someone like him who's already, I think, a big target. But I have high hopes for him. He's a big personality. I think that he plays the role well of being a shield and a big target because he is so loud and vocal when he needs to be. So I think that people won't necessarily want to put him up so quickly because they might see him that way. So I'm hopeful.
Okay. Next we have David.
In David's interview, I think David definitely comes across as a social butterfly. I think he could be someone that maybe a player like Cory would latch onto, and let him make the social connections. I think David is going to make it to the jury. I think he's going to be similar. Trying to think of a player that he'd be similar to. That's maybe really likable and but gets cut because of that reason in the jury stage. So I think David's going to make the top six or seven at least. I think David's only problem will be himself. I think if he gets in his own head, then he could potentially be an early boot. But I think if he just stays chill and just continues to be the nice, fun, social butterfly that he has, I think he will do very well. I'm excited to see. I've never seen David play before, so I'm excited to see how he'll play.
Okay. You're good. So for me, I feel like David. So originally he sent a different video for his meet me. I didn't watch his original one, but from what you guys said, he was like giving out strategy and all this stuff in it, which is why we had him send us a different one. But he seems like a person that's like overly confident, almost cocky. And I feel like he does have a plan to tone that down, it sounds like. However, I feel like he might do that for like a round or two and then maybe get into power, have an HOH-itis moment, and then flame out. He's another person I think could be like a flame out type person. I don't know what it is about the beginning of the alphabet, but I feel like the whole beginning of this alphabet is going to be pre-jury. That's
not the pre-jury.
My view, but I in my like predictions, I predicted David getting one of the first couple boots. However, I would not be shocked to see him make a full run. I think I know that he's more aware of the circle, like that community. He doesn't know Big Brother and Survivor too well. However, the other game he played, he got like fourth or something. So he definitely has the ability to make it far in a game. I think it'll be whether he can duplicate that or not. I know he's capable of making it far. I think it'll just depend on how this cast goes for him. I'm not sure if he knows anybody on this cast, but yeah, I feel like he's definitely somebody that could make it far, but I could also see flaming out. So yeah.
David is my instant eviction prediction. I think David is gonna be like I could totally see him flaming out or like getting in a fight or just getting HOH and maybe taking too big of a shot early. But based off his interview, I think he likes to work with the bigger personalities and not be the biggest personality. I was there for half of it. I might have been there for all of it. I kind of forget. But I remember him being definitely confident. But I do agree it could be borderline cocky to some people. I think to himself it's confident, but I think depending who he's talking to, he needs to tone it down. Because I do think a lot of people in this cast may be rubbed the wrong way by that. But I do think he's gonna be super social. I think honestly, specifically the women in this cast, I think they're all gonna like him. I think they're all gonna be drawn to his personality. And I could see a few other people also being drawn to him. And that's why I just feel like he's gonna be that big personality that everybody sees as a social threat. and I think he's either going to get fifth or he's going to get the instant boot. He's one of two people I think who get the instant boot. But yeah, if people catch on early enough, I think he'll get the instant boot. If not, he's going to get that like front runner social king of like fifth, sixth, fourth spot. So yeah.
I had really high hopes for him when we first interviewed him.
Okay.
He's very sociable. He's very likable. People seem easily drawn to him, I would bet. I don't know what it was, the game that he got fourth in, what type of game it was.
Key holder. It was key holder.
And what format is that? What game?
Big Brother.
Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't know how familiar he was with the Big Brother Survivor community. I know he said that he's not really too familiar, but the fact that he does have that Big Brother experience is reassuring. But I do know he's more so on the circle side of the community. I don't know. I really had high hopes for him. I do think he's going to do well. I just don't know based on certain things that happen. It went down his project. When the going gets tough, I don't know if he's really going to fight so hard to be here. If it gets tough and it looks like it's an uphill battle for him to stay when he's nominated, I just don't know if we'll see that fight from him. I would have thought so, but I'm not too sure anymore.
Another comment on David. I feel like he's going to be somebody that makes a really good first impression, and then he's going to kill that first impression really fast. That's kind of my interpretation of what he's going to do. But yeah. So okay. Next up, we have Drew.
All right. First off, I want to say I adore Drew as a person. I played an Instinct with him, so I kind of know how he works. He's very good at making people feel comfortable. I think if I could choose anything that Drew Olson does the best, is he knows how to make people feel good with them. And I think that'll carry well as long as a lot of people don't. I don't think this cast is very familiar with the way he plays. So maybe besides Cory, but if him and Cory can mesh well together, then I think he won't have a problem making it far. I definitely feel like if I could label him to a spot, he's going to be a leader in this cast. He's going to be obviously a big personality. He's going to be a big player. But like I said, he's so good at making you feel good with him. I don't think he's going to have a problem making it to the jury unless he somehow gets screwed over with a twist. If I could give Drew Olson a prediction, I am going to give him my fourth place spot. I think he gets cut here. He loses the final veto, and he's the biggest threat to win. And he gets fourth. That's my personal prediction for Drew.
So I have wanted to host Drew since I saw him in Instinct, and it just hadn't happened yet. So I'm really excited to have him this season. So Drew is my instant prediction because I feel like he's going to be somebody that's very likable. And I have a feeling that somebody is going to get that HOH, see the opportunity and strike. I feel like if Drew can make it past the instant eviction, I don't see an issue with him getting the final five. I don't necessarily know if I see him winning just because I think he's going to be too big of a threat by the end that I don't think anybody's going to let him get there, though I could see him winning his way there. So that's definitely an option. But yeah, so Drew was the person that I thought of when I thought of an instant boot, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really excited to see Drew play, though. I know that he's a really good player, so I'm interested to see what he'll do with this cast. I'm even more interested to see how him and Cory interact. So, yeah.
So Drew is very he's very social. It also says my internet's unstable.
You're fine. Are a little laggy, but you're good.
Drew's a very He's the kind of player that like everybody feels good with him. And he said this in his interview, and I think he nailed it right on the head after actually playing with him. He has his priority, and then he has his allies, and then he has his little pieces. And that's how Drew maneuvers in games. However, if you are his priority, he's loyal to the soil. He's not going against you. I think you would fall on the sword before he voted you out. However, if you don't fall in that category, you should be very worried of him. And I love Drew. From personal experience, he booted me for 14th in a game, and he sat on call with me for 6 hours the night prior. Drew has no problem sitting on call with people for long periods of time and booting them the next round. He is the second person I think could be the instant eviction boot. I think it really depends how he maneuvers, because I've seen games where he kind of gets away with what he's doing and no one really realizes it, and the instant's early enough in the game to where people may not catch on at that point. And I do agree that if he makes it past the instant, he's like a final 6 like lock for sure. However, same with David. I think he's going to fall in that 6th to 4th range there, where people are kind of scared of him. And Drew's not bad at competitions to any degree, so I don't know if he's going to throw them. I don't know if he's going to try or what. But if he makes himself a competition threat, he's definitely going to fall in that 6th to 4th range. But I'm really excited to host him because I think his style of gameplay is like different from a lot of people, and it's really good in the way he does it. Like he has some sort of mist that like you can think that he's against you, and then he'll sit on call with you for 5 minutes and you're all of a sudden like, that's my best friend. I don't really know how he does it, but I'm really excited to watch him play.
Drew's a rat and an ass, but like the endearing type, so that's how he gets away with it. And I think he's going to make it really far. I think that he's going to be the person of the season who, to everyone on the outside, it's so obvious what he's doing, but everyone on the inside can't see it for the life of them, which is very much like Devin in season 7 or Brian in season 8, where they just have everyone like wrapped around their finger, and it's like, how does no one see this? This is so obvious. And I really think that's the role he's going to play, and I hope so because I would love to see it. But that type of person just rarely wins, I feel, because it's so hard to have that strategy or be that person and maintain it for the entirety of the season all the way until the very end. And typically that person just ends up getting booted, around 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So I do think that is what he'll get, 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th. But I think he's going to play a great game, and I'm really interested to see how it goes.
Okay. We're going to skip the next person because Josh has requested to be able to talk about them. So we are going to move on to Miss Gloria Query. I'm so excited.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely adore Miss Glow. I just don't see any shape or form of her not making the jury. In my head of my little world of this game. I think people are going to be scared, not scared necessarily, but her personality is going to be so endearing that I don't think anyone's going to take the shot at her early on. She could easily become a pawn of the season if people want to get rid of their target. So why not put up Glow? Because Glow's fun and cute and whatever. So I definitely would put her as an auto lock in my jury. I would say 6th, 5th-ish area. I think Glow will bring the entertainment. She's going to bring the fun, and I wouldn't be shocked if she wins competitions. But yeah, my only concern though for Glow will be that she's so likable. That people might try to pawn her early on. And she could fall victim of a last minute vote switch or something, but I doubt that's going to happen. Well, it could happen. Anything's possible. It's Big Brother, but yeah, I'm going to say Glow's 5th or 6th unless some crazy shit happens and she puts a pawn and she goes home because of it.
Okay. So I have wanted to host Glow probably since season 1. Like I've wanted to host this woman for so long. And so the fact that it's finally here is just like it's great. I feel like Glow is going to cause so much drama and it's going to be so funny. I do think that she has some comp abilities. I don't know if she knows that this is a Big Brother game, so that'll be very interesting because I genuinely think she might think it's Survivor. If that's the case, she's in for an awakening, but I think it'll be okay. I definitely think that Glow will make it to jury. I think like top 6, like what Caleb said. I feel like fourth, fifth, sixth is very much where I think Glow will finish up. I could also see her getting to third, depending on who's there. I don't think she'll win, but I wouldn't be upset. So I'm very excited to see Glow play. So yeah.
I'm super excited to see Glow play. I think she strikes me as somebody who's gonna be a firecracker. Like if you set her off, she will clap back at you. I just had this vision of her and Cory getting on a house call and screaming at each other.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I don't even know. Like,
oh my God.
But so I could have just made this up in my head, but I feel like her and Cory are either friends or they hate each other, and I don't know which one it is. So I'm kind of excited for that dynamic as well. And I think Glow, she's not going to be the strategic queen, but she could be a social queen. And comp abilities, I don't really know. I think she's capable of doing well. But I don't really know how she's going to fall in that category. I think looking at this cast, a lot of these people could be good at challenges. And so it may put up some tough competition. I honestly think if she finds herself in like a good alliance with good people, she's going to do really well. I think if she struggles to integrate herself into an alliance, she could be an early jury boot. But I do agree. I think she is going to be a locked jury spot unless she digs her own grave early for some reason. But yeah.
Glow, I have such high hopes for her. She says that she is an endurance queen, and I believe it. I see her doing that upside down handstand on the wall for hours, and I'm ready. She's gonna shock America. I think that she's gonna make it really far because I don't think that anyone's gonna want to be the person who takes out Glow. And I mean, I know that if I was I wouldn't want to. She's like this sweet, older lady. Like you want to be the one who puts her up on the block. Like she's so funny and so likable and just so nice. Like who wants to be the one to take her out? But at the same time, I think that someone who's more ruthless, like Drew, could come along and be like, yeah, everyone likes her. No one's gonna want to take her out. I'll take her out. Like I don't care. Will she have the votes to go home? I don't know. That's another thing. But I think that I definitely think she'll make jury. For whatever reason, I think she and Casey are gonna get along well. I don't know. I have this vision of Casey and Glow final 2, and that would just make everything in the world right again. World peace all around.
Okay. Next up, we have Jackson Stroup.
Okay. I also played Instinct with Jackson. Jackson plays usually very under the radar, but he's also very loyal to his people. And I think as long as his side is good, I think he will be fine. He's not a big personality. His personality is not going to shine as much as some of the other cast members here. And I think that could be a good thing. If the under the radar players do well this season and the big guys go after each other, I could easily see Jackson flying under the radar and making jury. Otherwise, if the big players do stick together, he could be one of the more under the radar players that gets took out pre-jury, because he has the competition abilities, I think, and he has the strategic aspect to him that I think he could do well. So he could be a target for that. But overall, I would say Jackson is, for me, I see him getting early jury, like an 8th or a 9th placer. But if he can make the right connections, he could get to the final 2.
Yeah, so in my predictions, I actually put Jackson making final 2. I don't, in the final 2 scenario, I saw it up. I don't think Jackson wins, but I could easily see Jackson winning this game. Jackson played Surviving 2. I believe that was his first org. And he ended up getting idled out, I believe, by Connor, which was a very sad way to see him go in his first game. But I know he's at least won conflict. So he definitely has won an org before. He has that ability. I think he's going to be an under the radar player that I feel like there's a lot of different types of people that he could work with. I think that he could get in with Sarah and Nicholas because he has, like, Jake's obviously going to be in his ear. We all know it's going to happen. So Jackson could work with Sarah and Nicholas because of that. Or he could bond with Caleb because they are very similar people. I think maybe he would work with Drew because they possibly know each other. I could see him and Cory working together. I could see him and Glow working together even. I could see Jackson working with so many people on this cast. And I feel like Jackson's a very underrated player. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of a player he is. I think that Jake Stevens kind of, like, I think he's just in Jake Stevens' shadow because those two are so close, and Jake is just like a bigger personality. So I feel like Jackson's a very underrated player that I think could slip through the cracks in this game and absolutely has a great chance of winning. And I would be happy to call Jackson a winner.
I was muted. I honestly, this is my winner pick, and I like Jackson. Actually, I've never really spoken to him, but like his presence is cool. However, I really, for the sake of this season, I really hope he doesn't win, but I feel like he's going to. But it's just like, I feel like that's just like that's like a 1984 winner. Like, you just look at him and you're like, he's in the 1984 community. I want someone new, someone like a fresh face kind of thing.
I totally get that though. I don't want to cut you off, but I totally get that though. Like, I feel like 1984's set of winners is just like a specific type of person. Like, you all are kind of friends. I know, like, you guys became friends because like you worked in Hall of Fame together, all that, but there is like a group of people that like that's our 1984 winners, and I could see Jackson fitting there. I feel like last season Jay was like a different type of winner, and so that was cool to see. And so I would love to see somebody new win. But sorry for interrupting.
No, you're totally fine. No, but that's kind of like when I think of Jackson, I'm like, he's winning this season. I don't really have any evidence to back it up. I don't think he's super close with anybody this season. I don't think he has any bad blood with anybody. I think he's just someone that I think he's very chill, but he knows what he's doing. So it's someone that like you'll call Jackson, you'll like kind of bounce ideas off him. So he has all this information. What he does with it, I think from what I've seen in other games is where he has his downfalls, but he's someone that gets all the information. I feel like he just doesn't use it as effectively as he could. And so I think if he maneuvers his way like he should, he's going to be a final 2 spot. And depending who he's there with, I could definitely see him winning. But I think he needs those personalities, those big personalities in the game, because I don't think he's a big personality himself, but I think if the big personalities go, he's going to be kind of the bigger personality. So he's going to need a few of those people as like shields, but I could definitely see him winning.
Honestly, a boring winner. Like, no, like that sounds so mean. No, when he watches this, I've never spoken to him, but he has like he's in a great friend group, like he has great friends, like I'm sure we get along well. But like I have to agree with you guys, and I was thinking the same thing before you even said it. Like it seems like the most 1984 winner that we could get from this cast of 16. Like it would make the most sense. And like that's fine. But and there's nothing wrong with it. And, like, he shouldn't be faulted for that. It's not his fault or anything. I could see it happening. He's not my prediction just because I don't want to speak it into existence. Oh, that sounds so mean. That sounds like I'm so against it. No.
Jackson's gonna hate you. All Stars 2, he's coming
No,
for
it's
you.
so bad. No, I just think he's gonna be the person who's in a bunch of alliances. He's playing really well, and I definitely think he's gonna work with like Nicholas and Sarah. And I just because the thing is like I'm like he took Jake's spot, and like Jake was gonna work. What's the secret? I don't know. And then like Jake was gonna work with like Sarah, and so then it's gonna be Jackson instead. Like I feel like he's gonna kind of like take his place. Like be like, oh yeah, like I know you. Like Jake told me about you. Like whatever. Like let's be like Jake and Sarah, but it's Jackson and Sarah. You know what I mean? Cut the cameras.
I'm just cackling. I'm messaging Jake like as we speak. It's funny. Okay. Yeah, I definitely can see that like Jackson is the most like 1984 winner out of this cast. I think that Mac is another person that I could see having that trait. And honestly, I feel like Lizzie kind of has that a little bit. And maybe Evan. Other than that, like I don't see anybody that's like the 1984 winner, like whatever, just screaming it. But I don't know. Also, you mentioned like Jackson, Sarah, Nick. I feel like those three plus Mac and Lizzie is like personally like my dream final five, but I don't know. We'll see.
We are not on the same spectrum of this cast.
Okay. So next up, hopefully there's no steal of votes in this season. But Jeff is next.
Okay. Jeff is actually my winner pick of the season. I think Jeff is very good at sounds when I think of Jeff and I think of all the interviews that we had, for me, he's in the middle, like number 8, like in terms of the interviews that I saw. Like his interview was great, but it wasn't a standout, but it wasn't bad. It was just Jeff, and I think that's what's going to work so well for him. I think he's going to be someone that's just like everyone's just cool with, but they're not like he's not their number 1, but no one wants to take him out. Like I just feel like he's going to ride the middle of this game. I don't know. I'm getting very middle of the road energy from him. And I think he's going to play the middle. I think he's going to play very similar to maybe Jay did last season, of kind of floating, but also winning competitions and also making moves. I mean, I don't personally know Jeff. I never watched him play before, but from the stuff that I watched from him, I think he's going to be a very strategic and social player, and I'm very excited to see how he does. But Jeff is my winner pick, so we'll see.
Okay. So I played Ascendant Season 5 Spring Break with Jeff. Jeff did not use his steal a vote the round that I went home. If he would have, I would have stayed, and me and Jeff probably could have run that game, but that's okay. So that was my experience with Jeff. Jeff ended up getting 3rd place in that game, which is kind of where I see him ending up in this season. I definitely agree with Caleb, though. I think that Jeff definitely has a good shot at winning this game. I think that he has a lot of social ability that I think he will be able to integrate with a lot of different people in this cast. I think kind of like Jackson, there's a lot of people that he could end up working with. There's not really anybody here that I think like, oh, there's no way Jeff's ever going to work with them. So I do think that Jeff's at least making jury, in my opinion, unless he gets like screwed over somehow. I'm really excited to see Jeff play. I haven't got to watch him play since I played with him. So yeah, I'm really excited to see Jeff play. He's a really fun character, a really fun person. He's not like what we typically see in 1984, but he's also not like too out there. I don't know what I want to say, but I'm excited to see Jeff play. That's what That's all I'm saying.
I really like Jeff outside the game. I feel like it's just like my perception season. We're all just like one big family, and like Jeff falls in that category. And I Jeff's the kind of player that can adapt to a scenario. And I realized that because, well, like when I played Perception with him, I nommed him week 2, and then I ended up being his number 1 ally a few weeks later. Like he's not the kind of player that like you nom him, he's gonna want your revenge. He's gonna think like he's gonna actually think about it and do what he thinks is best for him. Jeff is by no means a comp threat at all. So I think that may be where he lacks this season. But I do agree. I think he's going to be like a jury spot. I don't think he's going to be a big personality. I don't think he's going to be a small personality. He's going to be like middle of the road. And I think I think I strike Jeff as someone who needs to work with the non-big personalities. I think if he works with the non-big personalities, he may be able to like control them a little bit and like mitigate his way through the game. But if he's just at jury with all the big personalities still in, I think he's just going to fall victim to one of the big personalities winning and taking him out. I had like a different experience with Jeff where I didn't think he was super social. I think he's a very busy person, but when he has a call, he makes it worth his time. He's not just going to call you to say hello and be like, how's your day going? So that's where I think he does lack in some scenario. But if he calls you, he's going to have a good talk with you. He's going to make you feel pretty good in that sense. So I really want Jeff to do well. I messaged him to play like the second apps came out, and he finally was like, okay, sure. So I'm excited.
I really don't know him well at all. I've heard a lot of good things, and based on everything, I'm taking in the information and I'm processing it and digesting it. And my mind is spitting out a nice shiny 4th place. And yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. I think that he has a lot to offer from what you all have said, and I liked his interview, and I'm excited to have him. I wish I could say more, but I just don't know. I think he's going to do well. I think you all pretty much, said everything that needed to be said.
Okay. So next up we have Caleb with a K.
So Caleb, will go first again. I'm kidding. So our alternates, so he was the only alternate of the season, which is interesting. It is his first org. I think Caleb, unfortunately, is going to be my prediction for either the first or second boot. But I could see him like potentially making it really far. I think if he makes jury, I mean, he could go to the final 2 and get the Caleb curse. But I think his lack of experience of orgs can be a really good thing, because it could be a new perspective that people might enjoy. Or I think he's going to fall victim of just not being able to properly socialize with some of this other cast members. I think his personality is very similar to Jackson. They're both like the more laid back, go with the flow kind of guys, which is cool. But I'm worried that he's not going to be able to get in those early alliances to protect himself, and maybe fall into a floater outsider position, and might be just cut because he doesn't have the numbers. But I have high hopes for him still, though. I want him to do well. I would love to see a first-time player make it to jury. So I really hope he does well, but I don't know if he's going
to. Yeah, so if I had to predict the first boot, Caleb is another one of them that I think could be that person, depending on how he interacts with the cast. But I also feel like he could be somebody that makes it all the way to the end. So he's very excited to play, which I'm really happy about. He was our alternate, and I think that almost put even more fight into him. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. I think him being a first timer isn't the worst thing because we have other first time orgers here as well. We have other first time Big Brother orgers here as well. Some people that are playing like their second or third Big Brother game. So I don't necessarily think that will be too big of a deal, at least in the eyes of the other cast members. However, for him, I wonder how naive he will be to how the game works. So I definitely like, he almost reminds me of me when I was playing my first org, like very excited but doesn't have any clue what they're about to get themselves into. So that's why I more predict Caleb probably getting pre-jury, but I would be very happy to see him make it far, especially with it being his first game. We've had plenty of first-time players win. Looks at Zach, looks at Sam. Like we've had plenty of first-time players win our series. So I'm very excited to see what Caleb can do here.
Okay, I really think he's going to do well. I don't know. I think he's going to do really well. I don't think he's going to be a first boot. You also you were the alternate to my bestie Antoinette, so therefore I have to root for you because you're the same person now. And so I'm glad Caleb mentioned it earlier. I think he's going to be I just feel like he's going to be a duo with Jackson. I feel like Jackson's going to kind of take him under his wing and kind of like it's going to happen. I think they're very similar. Like I think Jackson and Caleb are similar, but Jackson has the org experience. So I could see them definitely working together and being a dominating factor in the game. I think I don't know what place. I could see him getting maybe like honestly second. And I'm not even just saying that because it's a Caleb. Like I literally could see him getting a second.
I absolutely could see him getting.
And I don't. Yeah, and I think that'd be very ironic and very funny if he got second. But I really hope he does well because I think in terms of our cast, he is probably one of the most excited to play. You can just tell that he really like if you post something in his prod chat, he's very like he'll respond like instantly. He's always here. He's like ready to go, which I like that fire in people. I think his issue maybe round 1, round 2 is he's not going to know what to do. He's not going to know if he should call people. He's not going to know if he should just message people. That may be his downfall, but I do think he's going to be around. He's going to try his hardest. So yeah, I'm excited to see him.
It's the hero of the season. Let's be real. We already know that's the hero. My hero. He should have been cast automatically, no alternate, nothing needed. I have such high hopes for him. If he gets an early boot, like my heart is going to break. I just adore him, and I think that like I wish he was on my season because like fuck Kennedy, he would have been my duo, and it would have just been so good. But I don't know. I think my gut is telling me that he's gonna be really trusting of people at first. Then he's gonna get like put on the block like week like 2, 3, 4, something like that. He's gonna win that veto, and he's gonna be like, okay, like I gotta kick it up a notch, and he's gonna get in there. And I mean, I would love to see final 2 winner, whatever. I don't know if it's written in the stars, but I think he'll go far. I would love for him to go far, and if he's like a first boot, the season canceled.
Okay. So next up we have the sister of Keaton, which is Kendall.
Hey, I wanted to add one more thing to Caleb before we go to Kendall. I was just going to say though, for me, oh my God, Josh is here. Hi. Oh, okay. Anyway, I just wanted to say Caleb is the person that I'm rooting for the most. Like, I want him to do so good. Like, that's the thing. Like, if I could root for anybody, it would be him. But yeah, oh my God, look at Josh's freaking survivor buff. Okay.
Josh,
but yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, Josh, do you want to say something about Caleb? We just finished.
Yeah, we're about to move on if you want to say something about Caleb.
1 second. I'm trying to get my headphones to work.
You're good.
Do we want to go to the person we skipped now that Josh is here?
We can after.
Yeah.
We'll do it at the end.
I feel like we should do him last because otherwise he's gonna get like lost in the mail.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Hello?
There we go. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, perfect. My Zoom was really not set to my headset, so.
We're on Caleb if you want to say something about him before we finish up.
I mean, I have no idea what the rest of y'all said, but he's somebody who's like very in the middle of the road for me. Like, I'm not expecting greatness, but I also don't see him necessarily going out like in the very, very early weeks. Like, I think not necessarily quite to the jury, but like maybe in the couple rounds right before, like somebody who's going to slide by, but then somebody's going to take a shot because they are not super connected with him. Like, I feel like he's going to be somebody who's going to get like taken out because he's not close to enough people, and people are going to want to protect their allies over him. But so I'm not expecting, Final Four, but I think he could really go anywhere in that middle, right before jury phase of the game, I think is sort of, but I mean, I'm hoping that people surprise me, and Caleb's somebody who I hope surprises me, because I definitely enjoyed his interview process, and is somebody I think I'm glad we ended up giving a spot to on the cast.
I just have to say, I already know that girl Sarah is gonna use him and throw him away like a tissue.
Probably.
And that's going to be the worst thing to come out of 1984 history.
Josh, you kind of said the polar opposite of what the rest of us said. We said he was either going to be like first boot or
first
like
boot or
final
like second. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, that's good. I like having a different.
Be different. Yeah.
Josh, I'll have to send you the video and you can watch it to see what we all said about everybody. But okay, so I kind of introduced her, so we'll try again. So next up is the sister of Keaton, which is Kendall. Caleb.
Okay.
Josh, you're just gonna go last every time. That's kind of the order we're going.
Okay, so Kendall. I think I'm calling this right now. I know my best friend Evan. I know how he works. Him and Kendall are gonna be tight. I know it from even Keaton told me that. I think Kendall's problem, though, is going to be her activity level. So I'm really concerned. I really could see her being the first boot, not because she's not likable, but just because she's not here. So Keaton better be on her ass, make sure she's playing this motherfucking game. Otherwise, I could see her going to like top 5. But I think Kendall. I'm gonna say Kendall makes top 5 if she's not the first boot. So she's really sweet. She's really fun. She's cool. Like, people are gonna like Kendall. She just needs to be here. Like, I understand as a ex-server, it can be hard to manage that. But you know what? I just now got the vision of Kendall. She's the new Beth. Kendall will be the Beth Dival of the season. I'm calling it now. She's going to be inactive most of the season, and then she's going to win the last few competitions and then get third.
Oh my
Let's see what happens, though. Putting that to history, Kendall is going to be the new Beth.
That's so funny. Okay, so I have wanted to host Kendall since season 2. We were gonna have her and Keaton do a twin twist thing, and it didn't happen. She has applied multiple times, never made it through the whole casting process. We almost lost her this season, but I'm so glad that she's here. I have no idea where Kendall's gonna finish. I do think that she's a likely first boot, but I don't think she's actually my first boot prediction. but I do think that she could get first boot. She might rub some people the wrong way. I feel like she's a different type of personality than most of this cast, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think that there's a couple people on this cast that know Keaton that will at least like protect her on their own power, just because they don't want to be the person that takes out Keaton's sister. But there's also people that don't know who the fuck Keaton is, so they're not gonna care. So I could see Kendall getting any placement. I just hope we actually get to see her play, and I hope that she has an enjoyable experience. That's my biggest hope for Kendall.
I don't know her at all, so this is like very hard for me. But if she's anything like Keaton, she's gonna be a crackhead.
I just want her to get third so that she beats Keaton. That's what I need.
So I worry for her because if she's something like Keaton, which I don't know is she something like Keaton? Are they similar?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to her enough, but just watching her video, she seems like she has some crackhead energy in her.
Okay, so I think that may be her down. As you said earlier, it may rub people the wrong way because Keaton has crackhead energy, but he's played enough of these games to know how to manage his crackhead energy. So maybe her interacting with people might rub them the wrong way. She is my first boot prediction, unfortunately. I really hope she proves me wrong though, because I really do want to watch her play. Based off the whole casting process, I feel like she's going to be inactive. And that either being inactive, if you're past first few rounds, you're going to be fine. If you don't get past the first few rounds, you're one of those boots. So that's just how it's going to be. I really hope she does well though, because I don't know, her like personality kind of seems super fun to like watch, like if she actually puts in the effort and time. So yeah, I hope she does well, but I don't know how I feel.
This girl is a superstar. She has it all, but she has nothing at the same time, and that's what makes her incredible. I did her interview, and those were the best 10 minutes of my life.
That was hilarious. That was the best interview I've ever seen.
I enjoyed every second of it. Like, my favorite thing was when I asked her, how she would feel if someone betrayed her in the game. Like, and I was looking for her to be like, oh, I'd be bitter, like, I'd be hurt. And her answer was, I'd be confused. And I was like, okay. I knew that a star was born. And I before Kaylee even said it, I was really thinking she's gonna be Beth. Like, this is the Beth of the season, but like 20 times better. Beth wishes she was Beth.
Can be better than Beth.
Anyway, no, I mean, I think that I think her activity level and just her overall hesitance towards the game is gonna be what gets her. I think that this is going to be a very active cast, and if she's not at their level, which is going to be a hard level to be at for a lot of these people, it's going to be hard for her. And I know that she's going to have Keaton pushing her to be active. Like, have you been talking to me? Have you been doing this? Have you do that? But you can't make someone do something that they're not comfortable with or don't want to do. And I mean, regardless, even if she wants to do it, if she doesn't have the time, there's nothing you can do about that. So I know that if like I was playing with her, I would probably so badly try to play with her, and then I'd probably get like nothing out of her, and then I'd be like, I can't protect you for like I don't really know you, and I can't just like put all my eggs in this basket just because you're funny, So I just worry that I think there's gonna be select people who try to work with her. They're not really gonna get anywhere, and they're gonna say, what am I supposed to do with that? We can't all be like Beth and have people like carry us through the game, and like
Queen.
and
I love Beth. Beth does it.
Maybe you love Beth around here. I think we've said Beth's name more than we've said Kendall.
Probably.
But it was in a way that was boosting up Kendall. So
Right. I mean, I sort of in a lot of the same boats. Like, I don't know Kendall. I've like never run into her, but I do know Keaton. Um, so I'm sort of hoping that like she can learn from him in that way because like Keaton just has this way of even though you know exactly what you get of sort of like charming you into like working with him. Um, so I'm hoping that she carries the same sort of charm of like even if she's not the most active, like if she's active enough where she can sort of keep people invested in her, she'll stick around for a while. She's somebody who I'm pretty high on going into the season. I'm hoping that she can make it past the first couple of weeks and be able to sort of hit her stride and not get clipped before then. But I do worry like if activity is a concern. I can speak from experience playing a season of 1984 with a lot of inactive people. It's really hard to do. And like if I had any power in my season, I would have clipped some of the inactive people. So like if this is a very active heavy cast, like that's definitely concerning. I don't think I would say first boot pick. I don't have a prediction on this one. I just am hopeful, and I think that if she is able to get the good mentoring from Keaton, like I think she could go pretty far into the season.
Yeah. I would
I
say she's. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine, Caleb. You can go.
I was just going to say she's probably going to be the biggest wild card, I think, out of everyone coming in.
100%. Yeah, I talked to Keaton in person about Kendall, like her interview or whatever, and he was like, "I thought she bombed that." Like, and I was over there like, "No, she was like one of our favorite interviews. It was hilarious." But yeah, it was funny. So, okay, next is my bestie Lizzie.
Oh. Okay, so I don't see Lizzie ever being a target pre-jury. The only concern for Lizzie, who is her fatal attraction? Drew. Okay.
Drew, yeah.
If Drew does get targeted and goes home and Lizzie goes on the block, people might take the opportunity to take Lizzie out because Lizzie is so likable. And if I didn't know Lizzie coming into this game, like, and she was on the block, I'd be like, oh shit, she might need to go. Like, she's more likable than me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I think she's a very nice, I think she's so good at connecting people on a genuine level. I think people are going to trust her. I very much could see her being like an Ally-esque player, probably, that does make the jury. I think for Lizzie, though, I think if she makes it to the final six, she's going to have to win herself out to get to the final two. I don't think no one would take her to the final two because she's just so likable. But I have high hopes because obviously I love Lizzie and I would love for her to make it to the final two as a friend. But I think people would be dumb to take her to the end. But who knows? She might surprise us. But I hope she does well. But I'm worried that her likability will be her biggest downfall.
So this is Lizzie's first Big Brother org. It's only her second org. So I know that she's very nervous, which I think is my biggest concern for her is I think she's her own biggest critic. And I think that she could get in her own head and screw herself over, which would be really sad. With like placement prediction, I think Lizzie's either going to like get screwed over really early or she's gonna make it to like fourth, fifth, sixth. So yeah, I liked the Ally comparison. I would more compare her to Lauren, I think. Where like Lauren, it's been forever since Lauren's played, but where I think she definitely has a lot of strategic ability, but it's not going to be the one that shines the most, and she's going to be like a very likable player that nobody's going to let go to the end unless it's like a final two, like somebody that she's really close with, has got a really close bond with, that they win it and take her. But I do think if she gets it to the end, I think she's a very likable person that could absolutely get the jury vote. So I'm really excited to see Lizzie play. I think it's really going to depend on how confident she is in herself. I know she told me that she kind of wants to go into this as like a different person than she did before, because people still don't know how Lizzie plays. So I'm not sure if she'll actually do that. I don't see her being a big cutthroat player, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I'm really excited this year.
Obviously y'all know her better than I do, but based on what I know about her, I think she's someone who could be a very social player. I strike her as someone who's going to get like an 8 or a 7. I think what I think is going to happen is she's going to be good with everybody. However, as you all said already, I think her own like self is going to be her downfall. I think she's going to have a lot of information, but she's going to be scared to use that information to her advantage. And then it's going to come a point where she needs to use that information, but she doesn't, and then it's just going to be her downfall kind of thing. But I think if she knows how to use her information effectively, I could see her going really, really far. Because I don't think anybody's going to target her early on. I don't think she's going to be one of these big personalities. I think she's going to be someone that just talks to people. And the social people typically just make jury. I feel like that's when you kind of have to kick it into overdrive and figure out what to do with your social ability. So that's where I think she may lack. But I really want her to do well. And I think she has potential. She just needs to know when and what to do with her information.
My favorite thing about this is that Lizzie's literally in the other room from Josh right now.
She is. I'd be surprised if he wasn't perking her ear to the door. Like,
I just messaged her. I said no eavesdropping.
She hears our thoughts on everyone and who's playing, everything, knows who to watch out for.
That's when I put my headphones in.
Viewers, she has headphones in. It's okay.
Lizzie is winning this game now. She says, "I know everything about everyone."
No, hold on.
Oh wait,
Lizzie's getting first boo. I hate her. She's absolutely terrible. Okay.
Wait, can I make a brief comment as well? I think the opposite is she has Drew as like a fatal attraction. So if Drew goes, she goes up, right? Like that's what happened.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna work to her advantage. I don't see Drew going early. I think that's gonna help her.
I agree.
I think she's gonna be one of those people that is gonna be pretty safe from the fatal attraction.
That's fair.
I think that she's going to be in a really good spot. She's going to be great with everyone until she's not. And then she's in jury. And then she's sitting in jury, contemplating everything and wondering where it all went wrong. But she won't have any answers. She'll be the first juror. I think that I see a very Rachel-esque pathway for her. I think that not in the sense of like the gameplay style, just the fact that Rachel was kind of good with so many people. She had all these connections. She should have been good. She had it all set up. And then just like that, she was taken out of the game in a crushing defeat. And I think that Lizzie is going to go home, final 9, 9th place, 3-3. HOH breaks the tie, and she sits in jury for the entirety of the jury phase, just wondering what she did wrong. And I hate
this whole game description.
I have a comment on that really quick though.
It is what it is.
So like we've commented a lot in the past about the 9th place club, and I feel like Lizzie has 9th place club energy. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's correct. The 9th place club has it's changed a little bit in the last couple seasons. However, it does have a specific energy, at least at the beginning, and Lizzie has that energy 1,000%. So I wouldn't be shocked, but the expert may now speak.
It's interesting because everybody I think touched on a different aspect of what Lizzie brings to a game, but I think the thing that's going to help her the most is in Prestige. She took that loss really hard and she realized that she made some very fundamental mistakes, and so I think she is going in with a different perspective on this game. I think what's going to work really well for her is that social aspect. She's really good at getting information out of people, because like that's her whole job. Like she just sits there and she's friendly and she's nice and she's approachable, and you just start talking, and all of a sudden all of this information is just gone. And so like I do think that, regardless of like early on, like I think she's going to be able to establish her relationships well early on. And so even if she does end up on the block, like if Drew tragically goes home early on, I think she'll be fine, because I think she can play into that, like it's like I'm on the block but I didn't do anything to get here, like I don't deserve to go home. Like I think she can just lean into that vibe. I definitely see the struggle for her is going to be that post jury phase. Like if she can make it into that post jury phase, like I can see a very like Caleb and Josh from last season edit of we're the social players, but we can't win any competitions to save our lives, so we can't make any moves. And like so somewhere in that top like 4, 5, 6 sort of like area of somebody who's a threat socially but can't win the competitions to save their game, and then goes home and is in the jury. I think if she can though, like I think she's going to go in with a different perspective, because I think she has a bit of a chip on her shoulder still from last time, and she trusted the wrong people and she trusted too much too easily. And so I think she's going to be a little bit more wary of how much information she gives out as opposed to like what she takes in. Like I think she's going to take in more than she gives out, but she's going to give out enough that people don't really see her as a threat. But I don't like, I love Lizzie and I think she's going to do well, but like I don't think she's winning this season. But I'm sorry. Like I just think that she's gonna do really well, and I hope she does really well. But I just can't see her being able to put all the pieces together. And I hope she surprises the hell out of me. But she isn't my winner.
She watch this when she wins.
What did she get in Prestige?
She got 6.
Okay.
And that was.
I could see her getting that again.
Yeah.
I could see her getting 6 again.
I can't lie. I have this vision of her running around doing the scavenger hunt, and Michael's like, get a garden hose, and she can't get it fast enough. It's done.
Not the garden.
If she's at home or at work, I don't know if we have access to a garden hose.
I don't think anybody really touched on that. She works night shift, which I think will be interesting for her game, because of her work schedule, because there's a couple days of the week that she doesn't work at all, and then there's some days where like she's in night shift mode, and so I think that'll be interesting to see how she goes about that. And I know she mentioned her work schedule is changing sometime soon. I don't know how soon.
It might be. I'm not sure, but
right. So I'm not sure if that will affect her at all.
It
but
didn't
that'll
in
be
Prestige,
interesting though.
But I'm not sure how it's going to work here. One thing I think that's going to help with that is I think that's going to, like, she was really close with Bree in Prestige because
which
their
is why
schedules
her
work
and
so
Matt,
well. I think
that's I was going to say that
work together. Yeah. So
I
just want to.
What?
I was just gonna.
Sorry, go.
No.
Okay.
Go.
I was gonna say something like Josh said, like just kind of like hit me like a brick wall kind of thing. I played like what you said was kind of like Antoinette tease in a way. I played a game with Antoinette, and I think she was so traumatized by the game that she played prior, like how she lost, that she ended up honestly making horrible moves because she didn't want to relive the same thing again, but she ended up screwing over people who had her as like number one priority because she was so scared that those people that she thought she was close with are going to screw her over, so she just screwed them over. And it was like I was like, I could see that happening.
Screwed them as in screwed you over?
I think the thing though is like Lizzie, I have like a feeling that like in order for her to do that, she would have to win some of the competitions. I think competitions are going to be what's like a struggle for her. I mean, I hope she wins, but I don't see her necessarily having that power to make those kinds of moves early on.
I don't see her standing there with 2 cups and a ping pong ball in between her hands for an hour and a half. As much as I love Lizzie, I don't see her doing that.
I was going to say, though, there is a lot of mental comps this season, though. We have a
do
lot of
think
quiz.
She has a good amount of mental ability.
Mhm.
So.
I also think
Um,
she said that she doesn't want to win comps early on. So I think that's gonna.
Well, this fatal attraction twist could give her first HOH.
If Drew volunteers for first HOH, I'm gonna cackle as much as I know Lizzie doesn't want that first HOH. If she gets it, I'm gonna cackle for so long, and I'm gonna feel so bad, but I'm also gonna laugh the whole time because I think a Lizzie first HOH. I think that she would. I don't know what she'd do. I think she'd have a panic attack, honestly. But okay.
One last thing about Lizzie before we go.
About her for so long.
Okay. Question for Josh. Do you think Lizzie will work with the other women in the cast, or do you think she will not work with any of the women? Because she's told to me that she prefers working with men. Okay.
Yes, but like she's only played one game. Like I think she's very much a vibe person. So like if she's vibing with the women, like she'll work with them.
She worked with Bree.
She worked with her. Bree was her closest ally in Prestige. So
I'm thinking her and Sarah could end up being some kind of a duo.
Her and Melissa.
Her and
Melissa for
Glow. Definitely.
I'm not joking.
I'm not joking either.
I feel like Sarah and Lizzie both work with youth, whether like Sarah's an elementary school teacher, Lizzie works with youth. Like I feel like that could be a bond there. But then also I feel like Melissa, just knowing things about Melissa, I feel like Lizzie will bond with her because of that. I'm not going to reveal things about Melissa that I don't feel like I should, but I feel like Melissa and Lizzie might work together based on things I know. And then I don't know if Lizzie would work with Glow, or I feel like Lizzie just isn't going to vibe with Glow.
I feel like Lizzie would work
Kendall,
with Kendall
sure.
until she finds out that if Lizzie finds out that Kendall's Keaton's sister, then that's a no-go.
Well, Kendall says it in her intro video, so.
Well, then I don't think
does
they're
Lizzie
work
not
together.
like? Does Lizzie not like Keaton or what? Or
Lizzie,
is it just like the crackhead energy type thing?
It's just the crackhead energy. Like she doesn't hate Keaton. Like Keaton's wonderful, and she knows that. But it's just that kind of player does not. She doesn't want like.
Well, because
like Danielle from Prestige. Like if anybody is anything like that,
she is so terrified that Danielle's on this cast, and I'm making her believe it. Funny. So I like when she said that, I'm like, oh, sorry. But
I think she's asked about 70 times. Like if Danielle is on that cast, I'm gonna be so mad.
I'm gonna do something really quick. I'm gonna do something really quick to make Lizzie mad. But
Michael and his.
Okay. No, 1 second. Okay, so I'm glad we all agree that Lizzie's getting first boot. Now let's move on to Danielle. Okay. Okay, so let's actually move on. We've been talking about Lizzie way too long. Next is next is Mac. Caleb.
Okay. I love Mac. My baby. Okay. So Mac is connected to Sarah. Sarah and Mac play TU together. Sarah is connected to Nick, who is connected. Yeah, connected to Sarah, who's connected to Nick, who's also connected to Jackson because of Jake. So I see Mac being in a good spot early on. I think Mac is very good at adapting to who he's around. So he can be this game bot if he wants to be. He can be the dumb, fun, like twink if he wants to be. So I think Mac can do whatever Mac will do whatever he has to do to get to the end. So I think he's very adaptable. I just don't think he's going to be able to pull off another win like he did in ETU. I think Mac will make jury. Honestly, you said that like Kendall, no, was it not Kendall? Lizzie gives you first jury energy. Mac gives me first jury energy, like jury member. I think Mac will be on the wrong side, or he'll be blindsided. Okay, no, I got it. Sorry. So if his alliance does make it to the jury, I see him being the first one cut out of his alliance because of his recent win in ETU. So that's what I'm just going to say with Matt. That's it.
I'm very excited to see Mac play. His interview was one of my favorites. I have wanted to see Mac play for quite a while. We randomly have a really long snap streak, which I just figured I'd mention because I think it's funny. But Mac is in New Zealand, so that does cause a little bit of problems time zone wise. But Billy Stevens did fine with the time zone thing. Mac seems to be fine with the time zone thing. I think it's more like the UK players that have more trouble with the time zone issue. So I don't see that being too much of an issue for him, but I do think it will cause him and Lizzie to work together, which I'm very much here for. As I said earlier, I think that Lizzie, Jackson, Sarah, Nicholas, and Mac could be a power alliance that I absolutely think could happen, especially because of how some of these fatal attractions have worked out. If people choose to work with their fatal attraction, I think that group of 5, maybe a 6 with Evan, could easily form. And I would be absolutely here for it. I think Mac's a great player. He knows how to run a game. He just won a game, which I think could be his downfall. However, he's been excited for this game for a while. He made his prod chat like over the summer. So we'll see what happens. My prediction for him is like a 5th, 6th type thing. I think he's gonna have a good standing in the game, but I don't think anybody's gonna let him make it to the end.
So he's the final piece to my 4th, 5th, 6th puzzle. I think Mac is going to get a 4th, 5th, 6th, along with David and, oh Lord, who else did I say? Drew, I think, something like that.
I think you got that.
Yeah, so I think those 3 are going to get those 3 placements. And I think Mac is going to do really well in this game. However, again, it's the same as Jackson. I love Mac dearly, but it's another boring 1984 winner. Him and Jackson are both the same. They're part of like the community already kind of thing.
We might need to explain that to Josh.
Oh yeah, so yeah, it was basically like Jackson just gives off like winner, like 1984 winner energy, and like 1984 winner like vibes. And I think Mac also gives off the same thing where like if he were to win, it's kind of like he already seems like he's already in the community, like all the 1984 players, like he kind of just fits in already.
I noticed yesterday we only have one non-10 gauged winner in Cindy. She's the only person that's not a 10 gauger, or at least has an account.
Yeah.
I noticed that yesterday, and I'm like, oh, and like I think about half our cast have an account, though like half of them never use it. So we'll see if that changes. But
yeah, and that's why I think he's gonna be in the majority alliance for sure. I think he's gonna be in a good spot. I don't see anybody really being like we need Mac out now. I think he's gonna be a luxury spot. And from there, I don't really know. I've never really seen, the only game that I've kind of seen Mac play was with Zach. And he was a minority the whole game. Oh yes, sorry Josh, you were there too.
Josh is just so overlooked in that season.
That's the theme of that season. I was very underrated in that season.
I just heard it all from Zach, so I kind of forgot. But yeah, I think he played from minority that game. I think this is a different perspective. I think he's going to play from the majority. But I think he needs to know when to make moves, because I think if he just rides out with some majority alliance, he's just going to get a solid 5th to 6th.
Firstly, I love Mac. I've known him for a while, since my early days on 10 gauge, and super funny, super likable guy. And I think that in this cast, I think he's going to be set up really well. What I've noticed from my 2 experiences that I can remember with him, one being YouTube Survivor and then one being a mini, which, I mean, minis are, whatever, but, they do show a little bit. In that mini, for instance, he did really well. I think he got 4th. That was the one that Tyler and I made final 2 in. And he had said that he knew that like he had to like take us out, but he wasn't able to do so, or he didn't really vocalize it enough. And then in YouTube Survivor, he specifically said that he knew that he had to, take me out, but he also didn't do that or go through with that. And instead he went along with a plan that totally like ruined his game. And then the very next round he was voted out. And so I feel like he knows what he has to do, or he's able to, I think he's good at seeing things and seeing kind of who's, running the game or in a good spot. I just don't know if he necessarily is able to execute, the moves or plans to get them out, especially if he's working from a bottom position. I don't think he'll be in that position in this game, so we'll have to see. But I think if anything, I think he'll see what is going on. I just don't know if he'll be able to do anything about it if he's in that type of a position.
Yeah. Also, what I took away from what Tyler said was that, Zach, you talked about YTS, but just totally forgot that I was there too, even though we were in the final 3 alliance.
No, he talked about you a lot, actually.
Anyways, it's fine. I'm not bitter. But no, I love Mac. Again, I didn't really know, I knew of Mac, but didn't really get to know him until YTS, and I wish that we had gotten to play a little bit closer of a game. But I think something that stands out to me that Mac said is he has the time zone difficulty, and he said he was able to work around that in ETU, but he said he did that because he had to. He was forced into that position because he was in the minority alliance, because he had his back up against the wall. And so he really fought to be active and be around and make that work with his schedule. So I'm my worry is that if he gets into a spot where he doesn't have to, he's not going to, and then people are gonna sort of overlook him, if that makes sense. People are going to want to work with him, but he's not going to necessarily have the same impact on the season that he could have if he was sort of an underdog from the beginning. But I definitely am rooting for him. I think Mac is somebody that I want to see make the jury. I do kind of agree with Caleb. I think he's either first or maybe second juror, sort of in that spot. But he's very likable. He's somebody who's easy to talk to, easy to get along with. He has a lot of different interests that he can relate to people in a lot of different ways. So I think he's definitely going to be in a good position, but I do think that probably the first juror is sort of where he ends up. But I really hope that him and Lizzie work together, because I think that their schedules are going to line up. So I love Mac.
Okay. Next up, the person you would have thought was Josh's sister, but is not, Melissa Rogers.
All right. So I interviewed Melissa, and we ended up talking 40 minutes after the interview, and I never met her before. So I think that speaks wonders on her social game. I think Missy will get along with everybody. I think her and Glow will relate to being moms. They're both mothers. I think Missy will get along with I don't see anyone she's not going to get along with. I think Missy will be in the Graces. My biggest concern is I'm worried that she's not going to be a main priority for people, though, if that makes sense. I think she's going to be someone that people want to work with, but they're not going to see her as their number one. She's going to be a number 4 in a lot of people's eyes. But I could be proven wrong with that. I think a lot of people are going to like her. I loved her when I met her. And I think people are going to trust her. I think her and Lizzie are very similar with that aspect, that I think I could see them both making it to the middle of the jury. But she's going to have to utilize her information to get to the end. But definitely think Missy will make jury. I'm really excited to see how she'll play.
So I played Triumph with Missy. I was there for 2 rounds. However, Missy got 6th, I believe. I'm not sure how she played. I didn't really follow the season after I left. But I know that she obviously made it really far. She was in the Majority Alliance, so I know that she knows how to make relationships with a bunch of different types of people. I think she's a very relatable person. She almost reminds me of Connie I don't know if it's just the look or what. But she reminds me of Tawny. I do agree that like I don't think she's gonna be like a main character of the season, but I could still see her winning. I just don't think she's gonna be
Like
somebody
a Cindy,
that
like a Cindy.
kinda, yeah. So somebody that like goes in, they're not winning a whole bunch of competitions. They might win one here or there. But I don't know. She like when I've thought about how the season's gonna go, she was never somebody I put within a big alliance. I think it's gonna depend on the dynamic of the season and all the players with each other and how the alliances end up working out. Because if they go how I think they're gonna go, I don't necessarily see Melissa getting into a big group. I don't know who that big group might be. But I know that she's very sociable. I enjoyed playing with her. She voted me out and I didn't give a shit because I liked her. Like she was cool. So so like I don't know. I feel like she's gonna be a social player. I think that she's gonna have to win some comps if she wants to get to the end, very similar to what we said about Lizzie. So my prediction for her was about like 7th-ish, but I could see her getting anywhere in the jury. I don't see her going pre-jury unless it's like a fluke, but
I also think that she's going to do fairly well. I think she's going to be an early juror, late pre-juror. One of those spots. I think it really the downfall that I see in her is I don't think this will happen, but it's definitely possible. She's in another game right now, is if I'm not
she's
mistaken.
in 2 other games.
She's in,
I'm pretty sure
yes.
she's in the social series, which is kind of low effort, but then she's also in Cutthroat, I believe.
Yes, and
So
that Cutthroat cast is a cast.
Yeah.
That is like an all-stars cast if I've seen one. So I guarantee that game's not going to be a low effort game. So that's kind of where I'm thinking maybe it could factor into her activity level. I don't think she's going to be inactive to any extent, but I think she may be on the less active side.
At least at the beginning.
At the beginning for sure. And that's where I think in the beginning of Big Brother games, being less active is like that could be your downfall for the rest of the game, because that's when maybe big groups are made or that your initial connections are made. And I think like round 1, 2, 3, even 4 are the like crucial rounds in building your strong connections moving forward. Because you can have a great strategic game after that, but you may not have those great bonds that will carry you, or people won't fall on the sword for you, or that kind of thing if you don't make those bonds early on. So I really think she's going to do well, though. I think she's a really fun personality that people will not want to get rid of, because she'll probably be the one that's like, just there to have a good time and like just want everybody to socialize. I could see her making a lot of like house calls or something like that. Like I could see her doing that. So yeah.
I think she has a great personality. I really loved her interview. I just really easy to engage with. I think that people are going to be drawn to her. I also worry about her activity level, but she seems like she's there to play. She seems like someone who gives it her all. And while she may not be able to give 150% to both games, I would like to believe that she's giving as much as she can to both. Given the circumstances. And I have high hopes for her. Unfortunately, I do feel like she's going to be pre-jury. I feel like she's going to be an unfortunate pre-jury boot, and whether or not that's because of her activity level or not, I'm not sure. I just feel like people might see her as a threat, social threat down the line. I don't really know if she's going to be able to integrate herself into an alliance, whereas I see people like Sarah or Jackson or Nicholas doing so. So I think that'll be kind of her downfall. I don't want to see it, but that would be my prediction for her. But I'm excited to see her play.
Yeah, I'm not too sure because I don't have a lot of like knowledge about Melissa, but definitely seems like somebody who's gonna bring a lot of energy if she's around and has a big personality. My sort of thing is like I think she's definitely gonna be that like last pre-juror, that like 10th place spot sort of range, because I feel like she's gonna be active enough to right. So I think she's gonna be active enough to get through the first few weeks, but not integrated enough in the majority alliances that's when they're gonna sort of take a shot at her because I feel like she's going to come off as more threatening than some of the other low active players. And so I think that's probably a spot where people are like 11th, 10th sort of area. Obviously, who knows what's going to happen, but I'm excited to see her play and I want to see her stick around as long as possible. But I think unfortunately with the cast that we have, we're going to lose some big personalities pre-jury, and I think that she's going to be one of them.
Can I add one more thing to Missy though?
Go
And
for
this
it.
is like a question for all of you guys. Does anyone else see Missy being a pawn early on? Like I
could
see Missy
see
getting nominated
it.
the first few weeks. Like
I
I could
could
see like week
see
2
it.
and 3, not round 1, but like
I
maybe
could see her
2
being
or
like a
3.
likable person that people say like, oh, she won't go. Let's just nominate her next to Cory or next to Drew or next to Braden or next to
Mhm.
David. Like, yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. I see her surviving an eviction or two and then going home on her second or third eviction. So like what you guys said about like 10th, 11th, maybe.
Yeah, I could see it. We had talked about like the instant boot. I think it's something we didn't consider. Like in a completely perfect game, I think it would be somebody like Drew or Cory going. But in like the last instant we did in 1984, Caitlin DeLissy left because she wasn't on the call.
Mhm.
So in that sense, I could see Melissa getting that boot
Yep.
because if she is busy with another game and she's not on, I could see her getting that spot of like, oh, she's not here, nominate her, get her out. Like, let's just get it over with, make it to jury, be done. So I think that's one thing we hadn't really thought about was the possibility that like somebody doesn't show up. Who might that be? Could it be Kendall? I think it could be Kendall. Could it be Mac because of his time zone? Could it be Lizzie because of work? Like it's possible.
That 10th spot could be someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping when we get there we can schedule it like where everybody's there in like a perfect world. However, we don't live in a perfect world. So sometimes people drop their phone in the pool. It's okay. Shout out to Caitlin. Okay, we can move on. The next two are both my Ascendance buddies. Next is Nicholas.
Okay. Love Nicholas's interview. Nick. Okay. I think Nick's going to do really well. I think he's going to be positioned in a good spot. My only concern is if someone like a Drew Olson or a Cory wins one of the first two head of households, like let's break up the duo of Sarah and Nick. And unfortunately, they would vote out Nick over Sarah. I think maybe.
If they're smart.
If they're smart, yeah. Otherwise, if no one catches on to that, then Nick's going to flat his ass all the way to the end, like top 5, 6, 7, But Nick needs to distance himself from Sarah. I think if he can do that and he can make other people his priority, I think Nick can win it all. I think I had Jeff as my number 1 winner. I would pick Nick as my second person that I think could win this game. Nick's so likable. He's strategic. He can win comps. Like he's like the definition of someone that has winner potential. He's not necessarily a 1984 winner, but he is a winner in life and a winner at this game possibly. So we'll see.
So I love Nicholas. Nicholas was one of my favorite people from Ascendance. So obviously, like I did kind of, spoiler, I kind of said his name at Ascendance, but I ended up going home, so whatever. But I love Nicholas. He's a great person. He's a very good player. He's a very social player. Him and Destiny Doppler have played a bunch of games together, and the game that they just played together, they were clearly a duo, but they managed each side of the house really well. And this was like an all-star season of a game where Destiny had won the game twice, Nick had won the game once. They were playing with top-notch players, and they somehow made it to Final 5 together before Nicholas got voted out for 5th. But that shows me, like, with Sarah, I feel like the two of them could distance themselves to the public, but be working together behind the scenes, kind of like Danielle and Jason type thing. And I feel like those two could easily do that. And I feel like if that's the route they go, I think those two could end up making it really far together. I don't think those two are going to go to final two together, but I could see both of them making it really far using that kind of strategy. But I could also see them flat out just working together because people are going to pin them together anyway.
Right.
So I think that either Nick needs to let Sarah go really early, or he needs to hold on tight to her and not let anything happen to her. There's no real in between. But Nicholas is a great player. He typically gets like fifth, sixth. I've not seen him win a game yet. I know that he has won games, but it's like since I've known him, I haven't seen him win one. He's not typically a Skype worker. He more plays on Facebook. So he's not necessarily used to too many of these people, but I do know, obviously, he knows Sarah. He might know a couple other people. I know he played Keyholder season 2. David played season 1, so I'm not sure if they've interacted at all. But yeah, I'm really excited to see Nick play. I know he's a great player, and I'm excited to see what he can do here. I don't know if he's going to be my winner pick, but he's definitely up there for sure.
I really like Nick. I never spoken to him, but based off like his energy and his vibes and his prod chat, I really like him. He seems like a super social player. I'm gonna kind of say the opposite of Caleb. I think that if a Drew or a Cory or something wins one of the initial HOHs, I think that's where he's good. I think he needs to worry if one of like the quieter people win early on,
like a Jackson.
Not even like a Jackson.
I think him and Jackson are going to work together.
Jackson also, I don't think Jackson's pretty smart. I don't think Jackson would take a shot at big players that early. I was thinking more of maybe like a Glow or like a Kendall or like even like
No,
Lizzie.
I think that Glow or Nicholas, one of the two is each other's fatal attraction, so I don't think that'll happen specifically.
Okay.
However, I know what you.
Yeah, or like even a Lizzie, because I know Lizzie keeps
Or an
up
Evan.
with, yeah, or an Evan. I think those people, like one of those people, I think he should be worried. But I think one of the bigger personalities, I'm not going to say he's safe on Cory's HOH because Cory, you never know. But the rest of the big personalities, I would say he's fairly safe. I would say he's going to make jury. I don't really see him getting pre-jury. If he does, then it's gonna be one of those games that has an early division between sides, and that may be how he gets taken out. But I think aside from that, I don't really see him going. I don't really know why he would go to any degree. He doesn't seem like someone that would make an impulse decision or an irrational decision and just like get himself put up. So yeah, I think he's gonna do really well. I don't think he's gonna win, but I definitely think he's going to do well. So,
really quick comment. I think because Lizzie doesn't have many like people that she knows, I think Nicholas and Sarah are going to be familiar faces to her that she's going to work with. Even though she doesn't personally know them, she knows who they are because she watches Ascendance. So I think she might work with them because of that, because she's not going to have anybody that she knows. And so I feel like Lizzie might be somebody that Nick needs to rely on, or at least like scoop up. I think that Nick is another person that could connect with Lizzie based on profession. And I think if Nick utilizes that, like I feel like Nick could be that person that like walks Lizzie through the game and like holds her hand basically. Like, I don't know. But
So it's funny you say that because I feel like Lizzie is going to channel her inner Kale, win the first HOH, and put up Nicholas and slay him for first boot. He is my first boot prediction.
I just don't know.
I
don't like this prediction.
Well,
we don't need to speak this into existence.
It's spoken. I don't know.
I think Caleb's getting first boot, followed by Casey. I'm going to speak that into existence.
No, I'm ready to leave this room. I've been thinking about this long and hard, and my gut, and my gut is never wrong, it's telling me that Nick is going to be the first spook. And I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but I think it's going to be by the sword of Lizzie. And I would love to see it because I think that if it doesn't happen week 1, it's never going to happen. I think that Nick is a big player. He's gonna have good connections. He's gonna know what he's doing, and someone needs to take that shot before they shoot each other. Thank you.
I agree. I love Nicholas, first of all. I think for me, like he's definitely somebody who I think he's getting third place. Like I think he's getting top 3. I don't think people are gonna let him get to the final 2. But I think I see like third, fourth place. I think he's gonna get really close. I think he's gonna play a strong game. He's got connections. He's got the knowledge. I think with what Michael said is I think that he's gonna work closely with Lizzie because Lizzie, she's kind of like me where like if I have any sort of connection with somebody, I'm gonna try to use that to my advantage. And like so she knows them and she knows Michael and she knows that Michael really likes Nicholas. And so she's gonna come in and be like,
not my
hey,
influence.
she's gonna come in and she's gonna be like, hey, my brother is dating Michael, and I know that you really like Michael, so like we should totally work together. And like I think that's gonna be like, and he probably if Nicholas is smart, he's gonna snatch her up because she's a really good ally. And so I think he's gonna be one of those people that's like not the head of like a core alliance, but definitely somebody who's involved in that decision making. So he's not necessarily going to be the first person that people take a shot at when they take a shot at the big alliances, but he's also not going to be the first person that the alliance turns on. So I think he's going to find himself in a really, really decent spot. I don't think they're going to let him get to the win. But I definitely like my prediction for Nicholas is third, maybe fourth place.
I will say something about Nicholas that I don't like. Nicholas is actually really good at competition. So I could see him getting himself to the end if he's able to make it to final 4. I could see him winning himself out. So I do think that's a possibility, but I don't know if people are going to let him get even to 4. So next we have Sarah.
Oh, my little teacher Sarah. I love Sarah. I just don't see a world where Sarah does not make the jury.
Right.
The only thing, like I said, it's the same thing with Nick. I think if people put them two together, then she could be potentially took out because like people might see her as the bigger threat between the two. Otherwise, though, I think she's going to be in a good spot. I don't think who's her fatal attraction.
Lizzie.
Yeah, she's fine. Like she's got a good fatal attraction. She's likable. Like she has it all, but she doesn't have it all to win it. If that makes sense. Like she's definitely, I think officially I would give I'm making my list right now and I'm giving Sarah 5th. So I'm gonna say Sarah's 5th place. She's great, amazing, but they'd be a dumb as hell to take her to the final 2 because she wins against anybody. So GG.
I love Sarah so much. Sarah was great in person. She's a really fun person. This is her first Big Brother org, so it'll be interesting to see how she does there. I think she said it in her interview, the worst placement she's gotten is 7th. And she's played, I think, 5 orgs. And the worst placement she's got is 7th. So that's something to speak on. She's a very social player. She knows how to work the middle of a game. I do think, I know we've been talking about Lizzie for an hour now, but I think because Lizzie is her fatal attraction, I think Sarah will know to work with Lizzie because of that. And I think that Lizzie and Sarah will vibe really well together because once again, like working with children or youth or whatever, I think that they'll bond over that for sure. So I don't think Sarah is anywhere near the pre-jury unless like if Lizzie gets evicted pre-jury and Sarah goes up, I could see them taking a shot, but the amount of things that have to happen for that to happen is a lot. So Sarah is my winner pick. I think that Sarah definitely has a good shot at this game. So I'm very excited to see her play. I just hope that she doesn't come in as like too big of a personality, or not personality, but like too big of a name or whatever that people are scared of her. But we'll see what happens. I'm really excited to see her play.
I think she's gonna. Oh, excuse me. I think she's gonna do really well. I strike her. I don't think she's gonna come in and be one of the big personalities. I think just because there's a lot of big personalities here, I think she's gonna be like middle upper personality. Like she's gonna be one of the bigger ones, but definitely never the biggest. And I think she just seems like a super like bubbly and friendly person that like when you talk to her, you're just like drawn to her kind of thing. So I think she's gonna do well, and it's very ironic that you said her worst place was 7th because that's what I think she's gonna get. I just think like I think I don't even know why I think she's getting 7th. I literally don't even have a story. I just like think she's getting 7th. But I think she's gonna be involved in the majority alliance for sure. I think as we're talking about these people, I kind of like realize that like some of these people may work together. And obviously this is all speculation because I feel like a lot of these people don't know each other, and we're kind of reaching, being like, you know, this person and this person and this person, so therefore you're working with this person. And we're all living this fantasy world. However, if this fantasy world comes true, I think she's going to be in this majority alliance. However, I think where she gets 7th is she's going to be the first one that people flip on and take her out. But yeah, I really want her to do well, and I'm kind of excited to host her because she seems like she's going to be super fun to watch.
I kind of view her as everything Rachel wishes she was.
I think.
Damn.
Sorry.
I
I
think
just read a little too hard.
I think that Sarah is the smartest player in this cast. I think that I think that she hides it well, but not too well.
Mhm.
And I think that it'll take her far, but not far enough. And I think that I think she's gonna throw a lot of comms. I don't know if that's typically her style, but I just feel like she's gonna be in a spot where she's good with a lot of people. She doesn't want to win, and I feel like she's gonna throw an HOH that she shouldn't have thrown, and she's gonna be a renom,
Rachel.
and she's gonna be a renom. She's gonna be a backdoor, but like not like as early as Rachel, like something like maybe like no,
Like a 7?
like a 7. 7th place, Sarah, marked in the history books.
Yeah, I
I
definitely
have
agree with
mine.
a lot of the points that were made. Like I think she's going to be, like I said with Nicholas, where I think Nicholas is going to be in that majority alliance, but he's not going to be the first person that gets targeted or the first person that gets flipped on. Whereas I think Sarah's going to fall into that spot where I think people are going to like see her as the bigger threat. But at the same time, I think she does have enough of the likability to get far into the game. So I definitely I'm just gonna hop on this 7th place train. Like I think like Sarah, like that just seems about the right place to take her out. Like I think she's gonna be able to maneuver well enough through the pre-jury that like she's not targeted, but then people are also gonna realize like if she gets close enough, it's too dangerous. So but I definitely really like Sarah's personality. I think she's gonna fit really well in this cast. Like I think she's got a big enough of a personality to stand out, but not so big of a personality that people are gonna be off put or threatened by her right away. So I think she's gonna be able to play this game really well, and I'm really excited to see how she does.
Okay. And now we have the person we skipped. So we will move on to Evan.
I just want to say that I realize how many people are not making jury. After I was making a list of my list, I
7?
was like
it's almost half.
I just feel like all these people are making jury, but they're not. Anyway, so Evan, I guess this is probably the easiest for me to go because me and Evan have been friends for 7 years now, something along those lines. I know how Evan plays. Evan likes to work with women. That's one thing. Evan's biggest problem is he is very loyal to usually one side of the house. And I think he's going to be in a good spot for a big portion of the game. But I think he's going to trust people too much. This is his first org. But he can be very cutthroat when he wants to be. So if he can separate his emotions from the game, I think he could win it all, genuinely. However, he gives me Drew P vibes, where I feel like I could see him in a trio and being the third placer of it because the other person feels like maybe he's the bigger threat to win the game. But realistically, for me, I see Evan getting the 8th or 9th spot. I think he has everything to be a winner, but I just somehow feel like he's going to fall short. And unfortunately, as much as I love him as a person, I just see him getting 8th or 9th, unfortunately. But I think he's going to give a hell of a run, and he's going to be a hell of a player. So we'll see.
It's funny you say Drew P vibes. I more get Zach Rav vibes from Evan.
I could see that.
I think this is his first game. I think that nobody's going to know what to expect from him, and I think he absolutely has a good chance at winning this game. I wouldn't necessarily call him my winner pick. However, I would not be shocked to see him win. So I'm excited to see what Evan does. I don't know too much about him, but I'm very interested in what he's going to bring. I think there's some different people or different types of people that he might work with. I'm not sure who that might be. I do think Kendall is one of them if Kendall is active. I could see him working with Jackson. I could see him working with Sarah. I'm excited to see what he can do because I'm not too sure what it is. So, yeah.
I kind of agree with he's the biggest wild card for me, and I don't know where to put him. I'm really excited to watch him play just based off his interview. He seems like he's gonna be easy to get along with. I don't even know what to say about him. I feel like he could be someone that's just taken out early just because he is gonna know no one coming in. So it's it could be one of those things where he's either just put up early because he doesn't know anybody, so no one's gonna push and be no, not Evan. And then he may go up and may go home because he's not gonna be a big threat, but maybe an early nomination, if he's not against a Casey or a Caleb or something like that, they might be oh, he's more social, so we should get rid of him or something like that. But then I can also see the flip side of it where he is social and is in a majority alliance. And I think kind of Caleb touched on it, what I think he would do if he was in the majority alliance. I think he would just kind of blindly go with it and he wouldn't be the person to flip on it. And he may be collateral damage or something like that. I don't know where to put him. He could get 15th for me. He could get second. I don't think he's going to be first boot, but I think he could get 15th or a second or anywhere in between. And I just don't know where he's going to fall. But
I have really high hopes for him and high expectations. He seems really smart and
not you saying that after I compared him to you.
No. No. The second that I saw his interview, he seems like a second placer to me. I genuinely think that he's going to get second place. That is who I have on my prediction list of first through 16th. I have him a second. I just think that because we got a lot of applicants who have never played before, and you can tell when they don't know what they're doing, when they seem excited but lost, or they just seem totally out of it. And I think that he is probably the strongest by far first time player that we got as an applicant, and that's why he's here, pretty much. And I just, feel like compared to the other ones, I feel like he knows what he's getting himself into. He's ready to play. And I think that he's gonna be a better player, frankly, than the other ones. And I have high expectations, and I hope to see him at second place.
While he hasn't played an orc, he has played minis before, so
He used to play in my
does
minis that
have-
are very similar to orcs.
he does at least have a little bit of experience.
First of all, I have to say I'm glad that I remembered where he was in the cast photo, because I really was like worried that y'all were gonna skip the wrong person and I wasn't gonna get to talk about Evan. There is a reason Evan is my winner pick this season. Like Zach said, coming off of that interview, like I just got really, really great vibes from him. Like he just seems like, for a first time orger, like he seems to have a decent grasp of the game. Like I think he knows what he has to do coming in to be able to take this all the way, and I think he has the charm and the social ability to get there. I just really hope that he can capitalize on that. I think he's going to be somebody who is sort of underestimated because he has that. Like he's going to be able to charm people into lowering his threat level. And I think that he can get into that majority alliance, especially in a season like this where we have so many socially strong players. Like a lot of these people in their interviews were saying that they're going to rely on their social game, rely on their social game, rely on their social game. And I think he's going to be somebody who's going to be able to sort of slip through the cracks while being in the majority alliance. So I have really, really high hopes for Evan coming into this season. And I really hope that he can prove me right and be the winner of this season. I don't know. There's just something very, I don't know. He just had this thing about him in his interview that I just think up compared to everybody else. I think he's going to be able to slip through and rise to the top. So
I
exciting.
definitely kind of get that same vibe, so I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is everybody. Now we're going to go through really quick, and we'll do first boot predictions, and then we'll do winner predictions. We'll do 2 first boot predictions and 1 winner prediction. We can just go in the same order that we did before. So Caleb, you get to talk shit first.
Oh my god. So my first pick for first boot is Kendall. Not because like she's like not a cool person or anything. It's just I'm worried about her activity levels. Her being Keaton's sister could be a bad thing if people were intimidated by the way he plays. But I do have high hopes for her though. My other next first boot could be a Cory. I think Cory is very strong-willed, and if someone's not afraid to take the shot, he can go. Like, let's say like a Nick or a Sarah wins it. They might would make the move. I don't know. Drew Olson might would make the move. Like, I just don't know, but we'll see. My winner pick is Jeff. Like I said, there's something about Jeff kind of similar to Evan. I think he could just slip through the cracks. Like, he's not going to be the biggest threat, but he's not going to be weak enough to be up as a pawn. He's very middle of the road. I don't think no one's going to go after him for a long time. Like, he gives me Jay energy, and he reminds me more of Billy Rocker in terms of personality, but in terms of gameplay, I see him being Jay, very floater-esque, but still can win competitions, still can maneuver themselves very well strategically. So I have Jeff as my winner pick.
Okay. So my first boot predictions are Caleb and Casey. Zach hates me. I just feel like those two are going to have the hardest time socially integrating. And so I think that those two have the biggest chance of being first boots. Though I could see somebody going after somebody bigger. But I feel like there's so many big personalities that I think a smaller one's going to go, especially with how the HOH is working. I feel like whoever gets it is going to be scared. And I think they're going to end up just putting up people that don't talk to them. And that's why I think that Casey or Caleb could be that person. As far as winner pick goes, I am going to stick to Sarah. I just feel like I do feel like we're going to get a female winner. And if it's not Lizzie, I want it
We
to
love
be
that.
Sarah. So we need a female winner. Like we have not had one since season 5. Like it's time, and I feel like Sarah definitely has the potential. So yeah.
My first boot predictions are Kendall and Casey. Um, I just Kendall, I feel in my gut that she's not going to be active, and that's like the pure reason. I don't think it's going to be her personality or anything that gets her first boot or evicted. I just think it's going to be strictly her activity level. And then Casey, I Casey's another one of these wild cards that like I feel like he will have a harder time integrating himself into these people. Um, However, I think if he does, he's going to do it effectively, but I just don't know. I think he needs a few rounds time to do so, which is why I could see him going first. And then my winner prediction is Jackson. Um, I just think I don't know. He strikes me as a winner of this cast because I think I see him working with so many different groups of people, but he's never going to be the main target. Like I don't really see a scenario looking at this cast where people are like, we need Jackson out now until it's like the end game. And then even then, I don't know. So yeah, I think he's going to win.
Okay, so my first boot prediction is Nicholas. And if it's not him, then it's gonna be Cory. I just think someone's gonna take the shot at either of them, and that's fine. As far as winner, I see it now. So the final 3 is gonna be Evan, Jackson, and Glow, and then Evan's gonna win that final 2. No, not final 2, final HOH. And then he's gonna turn his back on Jackson, who has been his duo all game. Jackson's gonna get 3rd, and then Mama Glow is gonna win next Fatal Attraction.
I can't wait.
I mean,
Honestly, if
that's a
that was the final
solid
3,
winner pick.
If that was the final 3, I think this season is the best one yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure on first boot predictions. I think I agree with almost all of you for certain aspects. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing Casey doing well in this cast. Like I just feel like he's gonna struggle. I don't know that he's necessarily first boot, but I also don't know that he's not gonna be. So Casey's one of the people that I'm sort of like not sure about. It really depends. Like it's really hard to predict this because like there's a lot of scenarios where a lot of different people could go out first. I think my other one's gonna be Braden. I feel like Braden. I don't know. I feel like he could be somebody who's fairly dramatic early on, and if some people if somebody wins the HOH who like Lizzie, who doesn't really like dramatic people in that way, and he sort of is being a bit much, I could see her just being put off by that and putting him up week 1. So I think there's if somebody has a bit more chaotic energy, I feel like depending on who wins the HOH, they could go early. That's what I'm going to say for that. And then obviously, I just said it. My winner pick is Evan. I think he's got a lot of upside coming into this season. I think, obviously, barring anything drastic happening to him early on, I feel like he's a lock almost to make it to the end game. And I just think he's going to be able to put together the right combination of his social skills, his strategy, and some competition wins along the way that I think he can go all the way to the win. Or lose to Glow in the final.
Okay.
I want to point out one thing about Evan though. His fatal attraction is Casey. Do you think he survives no matter what on the block if Casey goes out early?
I think
he can
but
ingratiate himself in the group well enough. Like I think he can make those connections early enough that if he sees the block, that he should be fine.
Like a side note to that, I think if Casey is like someone that people are like just evicting, a fear I have is maybe he tries to save Casey, which could be a downfall.
Mhm. I'm very interested to see how the twist works out, like who will specifically work with their fatal attraction, who doesn't care about their fatal attraction, who like uses their HOH to get a certain person out so a certain person goes up the next week. Like I'm
It's
very
gonna be dramatic.
interested. Yeah, I'm very interested to see how that works out. So so with that, that is all we have for the cast assessment. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. This is season 10. I am so happy with how 1984 has turned out so far. 3 years. It's crazy. I never thought 3 years ago that we would be celebrating season 10. I would have made so many friends, met up with so many people. This has been a wild ride. I'm so happy with where we are at. So so thank you to everybody who's been a part of this for the past 3 years. It means a lot. So yeah, with
You're
that,
welcome.
I'm going to end the stream.